The Comanches were the last holdouts against the American settlers and against the soldiers. They were the last like truly wild tribe, and they were running the plains for like hundreds and hundreds of years. But one of the things they did is those people would fight to the death. They never surrendered, because if they surrendered, they assumed they were going to be tortured, because they torture everybody. And they would take people and they would hack their arms and legs off, and while they were alive, throw them on a fire. They would just hold you down and they just immediately hack off your arms, hack off your legs, and then just chuck you on the fire.
What made the Comanche so powerful that they drove fear into hearts of American soldiers? And how did they manage to hold the record for the longest US military conflict that led to the near extinction of this mystery animal? Welcome to the Joe Rogan Discovery, where we delve into the riveting history of the Comanche, one of the most formidable Native American tribes to ever exist. What was it that made them so fearsome that they were able to wage a 40-year war with the United States? Let's take a closer look. The Comanche were fierce warriors who skillfully utilized their expertise in horsemanship, military tactics, and guerrilla warfare to devastating effect against their enemies. Their adaptability and ability to shift from hunting to raiding and warfare gave them a significant advantage over their opponents. The 40-year war between the Comanche and the United States was marked by numerous battles and raids on both sides. The Comanche warriors were notorious for their surprise attacks on settlers and soldiers, inflicting significant damage on their opponents, with few casualties of their own. While many Native American tribes engaged in raiding as a means of acquiring resources, the Comanche took it to a whole new level. Their brutal raids on both Native American and non-Native American settlements often resulted in the killing of men, women, children. Their dawn raids were particularly devastating, catching their victims off guard as they rode into settlements on horseback, firing arrows and guns and killing anyone who got in their way. Once they had looted the settlement of valuable goods, they would often take captives, typically children and women, back to their own territory. The Comanche saw the capture of women and children as a way of replenishing their population, which had been depleted due to warfare and disease. Captive women were often taken as wives or used as slaves, while children were raised as members of the tribe, often becoming assimilated into Comanche culture. Their superior horsemanship skills were a significant factor in their success, allowing them to cover great distances quickly and launch surprise attacks, making it difficult for their enemies to defend themselves. The Comanche's mastery of horsemanship was a testament to their dedication and ingenuity. Their journey to becoming expert horsemen began when Spanish colonizers brought horses to present-day Texas in the 16th century. Initially hesitant to use them, the Comanche gradually realized the potential of horses for hunting and warfare by the early 18th century. Their use of horses was awe-inspiring and highly effective, with specific accounts of their success including speed and mobility. The Comanche were able to cover long distances quickly on horseback, giving them a significant advantage over other tribes that relied on foot travel. They could launch surprise attacks and then swiftly retreat, making it challenging for their enemies to mount an effective defense. Intimidation, the sight of hundreds of Comanche warriors on horseback, riding with speed and agility, was awe-inspiring and intimidating to many of their enemies. The Comanche effectively used this to their advantage, often relying on psychological warfare to defeat their foes. Use of cover. The Comanche were experts at using their horses for cover during battle. They would ride behind their horses, using them as shields while firing arrows at their enemies. The Comanche were exceptional horsemen, starting the training of their youth on horses at a very young age. By the time the boys were 6 or 7, they would be taught to ride and care for horses, allowing them to develop an intimate understanding of these magnificent animals. The Comanche became expert riders, renowned for their unique riding style that allowed them to ride bareback and shoot arrows with deadly accuracy. Their riding style was made possible by the use of a short, sturdy lance held in the right hand while riding, which enabled them to charge at their enemies with deadly force. Additionally, they developed the Comanche shuffle, a unique way of riding where they rode with their legs folded up beneath them, giving them greater stability and balance while riding and maneuvering their horses in tight spaces. The Comanche were also exceptional in their ability to train and care for their horses. They would often steal horses from other tribes and then train them to become highly skilled and obedient. Their unique method of horse breeding produced sturdy, fast horses that were well suited to the harsh conditions of the Great Plains. The Comanches' military prowess was marked by their unparalleled agility, lightning-fast speed, and cunning tactics. With their superior horsemanship skills, they could execute surprise attacks with remarkable precision and retreat quickly, leaving their enemies bewildered and unable to retaliate. Surprise attacks. The Comanche were known for their surprise attacks on both Native American tribes and settlers. One notable event was the 1836 attack on Parker's Fort in Texas, where a group of Comanche warriors surprised and killed or captured many of the fort's inhabitants. Horseback warfare. The Comanches' use of horses in warfare was a key component of their success. In the 1840s, a group of Texas Rangers led by John Coffee Hayes encountered a Comanche raiding party and were amazed at their horsemanship. Hayes later wrote that the Comanches were the most daring and expert horsemen I ever saw. Nature and practice had made them perfect in this accomplishment. Hit-and-run tactics. The Comanche were skilled at hit-and-run tactics, where they would attack quickly and then retreat before their enemies could mount a counterattack. This tactic was used during the Battle of Plum Creek in 1840, where a group of Comanche warriors attacked a group of Texan settlers and then fled before reinforcements could arrive. Guerrilla warfare. The Comanche were also known for their use of guerrilla warfare tactics, such as attacking supply trains and isolated settlements. In 1867, a group of Comanche warriors attacked a wagon train near Salt Creek Prairie in Texas, killing 16 people and stealing horses and supplies. The conflict between the Comanche and the United States began in the 1830s and lasted for about 40 years. The Comanche were one of the most powerful and feared Native American tribes on the Great Plains. They controlled a vast territory that stretched from present-day Kansas to Mexico. The United States wanted to expand westward, but the Comanche stood in their way. The conflict was marked by a series of raids and counter-raids. The Comanche would attack settlements, wagon trains, and U.S. Army forts, and then retreat into their territory before the Army could respond. The U.S. Army responded with punitive expeditions, which often resulted in massacres of Comanche women, children, and elderly. The conflict escalated in the 1860s and 1870s as the U.S. government sought to subdue the Comanche and force them onto reservations. One of the tactics the U.S. Army used to subdue the Comanche was to target the buffalo herds, which were the Comanche's primary source of food, clothing, and shelter. The Army recognized that the Comanche's way of life depended on the buffalo, so they launched a campaign to exterminate the buffalo as a means of weakening the tribe. The Army encouraged buffalo hunters to kill as many buffalo as possible by offering a $1.50 bounty for each buffalo hide. The hunters killed buffalo indiscriminately, often leaving the carcasses to rot in the sun. This wanton slaughter of the buffalo had a devastating impact on the Comanche and other plains tribes. It caused a severe decline in the buffalo population and a catastrophic loss of up to 4 million buffalo between 1872 and 1874 alone. The near extinction of the buffalo had a profound effect on the Comanche's way of life. Without the buffalo, the Comanche could not survive on the plains, and they were forced onto reservations where they struggled to adapt to a new way of life, and so too marked the end of the Comanches.